Hare Krishna.
Advaita Acharya, who came before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wanted to bring the Lord himself to this world so that he could give the highest gift to everybody. And therefore, he prayed to Lord Krishna by offering Ganges water and tulsi leaves in his palm. He heard in the scripture that just by offering tulsi leaves and Ganges water, the Lord is purchased. And when he called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to this world, later on, Mahaprabhu mentioned how I came because of your loud cries. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood was to induce everybody to chant Hare Krishna. And throughout his stay in this world, he taught two principles, which make this movement very simple. When you have simple principles, they're easy to pass on. So the first is chant Hare Krishna. And the second is teach others to chant Hare Krishna. Number one is chant Hare Krishna. Number two is teach others. Number one is, number two is, number one is, number two is, number one is, number two is, number two is, number one is. So in this way, if someone wakes you up at 1 o'clock in the morning, unless that's the time you get up here in Mayapur, and they shake you and they say, what was that seminar about? What was that guy saying? You'll say? Correct. So that is the mainstay of our movement, to chant Hare Krishna and to teach others. Beyond that, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda opened a marketplace. Marketplace means there's brainstorming, there's planning, there's organization about how to expand the teaching, how to give it to more people. That's what marketers do. They sit around and think about how can we get our product to more people. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda were especially interested in seeing that more and more people got it. In fact, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that this should go to every town and village. And now we see in towns and villages all over the world an amazing thing. People are cutting through the city streets chanting Hare Krishna. They're gathering in homes, they're chanting Hare Krishna. And all over the world, practically in every time zone of the world, this name is being heard. There are quite a few people that haven't heard it. And after the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after his disappearance, his message dissipated, which happens over time. In fact, I was reading a book by Rick Warren, who's a very successful pastor of a Baptist church in Saddleback, California, which is down in Southern California. And he was quoting from the Bible saying that in any organization or in a church, you must reiterate your mission at least every 30 days, otherwise people forget it. And nowadays, you might find it interesting that if you talk to people who are walking outside your institution, wherever it may be, and you ask them, what is our mission? What might they say? A variety of things, or one unified message. And therefore, there's an old principle, frame or be framed. You have to know what your mission is clearly and reiterate it and make it clear to people. And once it's clear, then people will tend to follow it. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission became unfollowable for many years because the message, the core mission had been lost. So if there's anything I can do, let me know. Okay. So in 1891, the great Thakur, Bhakti Vinod, renewed the marketplace of the holy name. He did so after great research about all the various philosophies and religions of the world, in which he was looking for a panacea. He was looking for a harmonizing factor, the essential teaching that would unite everyone in the world in a pure religion. And he studied, as you can see from his writings, many different philosophers. But when he finally found the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and studied that, he realized this is the perfection, the confluence of all the perfect philosophies. And he came out in society and began to teach the philosophy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Great intellectual he was in connection with all the great thinkers of the time. And in a practical way, he reopened the marketplace of the holy name. And there's a book now available by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami that enumerates the various aspects of that marketplace. It's very interesting. There's prices you pay to get the holy name. There's a literal marketplace and a hierarchy that he created for salespeople in the marketplace and so forth, just as a vehicle to spread the holy name all over the world. It's looking promising, eh? Especially if we all move up. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said he reopened the marketplace at Surbi Kunj. So don't pay any attention to this, just focus here for now. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur also made predictions there would be a ray of Vishnu. He prayed for a ray of Vishnu in his family, that he could have a son that would assist him to help spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. And also he predicted a great personality would appear. And in the meantime, Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj and others were continuing the vibration of the pure holy name. Is everyone okay? Yeah. Is that too confusing?
Not at all. No.
Okay, good. So, actually, it actually goes on that stick up there, but I'll let you deal with it. The Gaudiya Math was very successful. All over India, people were taking to the process of Krishna consciousness because of the widespread campaign of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And when Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, our Srila Prabhupada, talked to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur just a short time before Srila Bhaktisiddhanta left the world, he asked him, what can I do to help the mission? He had told him once many years before, and in writing, but this time at Radhakund, he told him that if you ever get money, print books. And Prabhupada said, I took up this from his mouth, that he is very fond of books. He said, if you ever get money, print books. So, Srila Prabhupada then took that marketplace that was conceived by Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, which was revived by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he spread it all over the world. The marketplace of the holy name. And
very specifically, he brought with him trunkloads of books. And when he brought his first books with him, he had a pamphlet which advertised 60 elaborate books with English version. And at the time he had 3 books. And he also said all over the world for scientific knowledge of God, and at the time he had no money and no connections. So his vision was very large for distributing books. He also said by preaching and distributing books we can inject into society this philosophy of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada often referred to the communists because they had been very successful by mass distribution of literature to bring people to the ideology of communism. And he asked us to emulate the same speed at which they were distributing their literatures in many different languages. The strategy of distributing literature has been used for many years. In America, for instance, Thomas Paine, who was one of the intellectuals before America was founded in 1775, wrote a pamphlet called Common Sense. And he had it, he sold it actually. It was for a price, but he sold to most of the population in the colonies at the time.
And according to to historians, this pamphlet was responsible. The writing within this pamphlet was responsible for people rising up for a revolution. And in Cuba, Fidel Castro also wrote his book called History Will Absolve Me. He was in prison at the time, and he was writing with lime juice and having the pages smuggled out of the prison. And when you hold lime juice up to the sunlight, then it constitutes. You can't see it on the page until it's affected by the sun. And his then wife had compiled that and distributed it to mass numbers of people, and that was the beginning of the Cuban Revolution. So there's a way in which this methodology of distributing literature in society is very powerful. There he is, Fidel Castro. And also, as a testament to the efficacy of literature and distribution, there's a way in which tyrannical governments, despots, will burn books when they're starting a new regime because they know the power of books. That when people get a book, they can rally around that book. They'll start movements around it and get ideas, and they can move forward with those ideas. So books liberate people. They transport them. So Prabhupada said, print as many books. Is that as good as it gets? Huh? Print as many books in as many languages. And distribute throughout the whole world. Presently, there are other organizations that are distributing a lot more literatures than we are. They're more organized and they're more intent on getting their message out in the written word. One is the Jehovah's Witness for the distribution of their magazine called Watchtower. Anybody got a copy of Watchtower with them? You don't have one with you? I picked one up last time I was in Tokyo. It's pretty good. They put a lot of energy into that, and you'll notice that their people are out everywhere, and they also go door to door. Their main focus is in distributing literature. They cover 239 countries, 595 languages, and they distribute 46 million copies of Watchtower per month. Wow. That's a few more than we're doing. Now, when it comes to the Bible, the Gideons, you all know the Gideons, right? Yes or yes? Okay. The Gideons are in 196 countries, 93 languages they have the Bible in. In 2012, they distributed 84.6 million copies of the Bible. And they're just coming up on 2 billion copies distributed. So they're very organized, and they're doing a really good job. We need to catch up. Here's Time Magazine. Prabhupada talked in terms of having a magazine that would be prolifically distributed all over the world. Here's a nice title for you, huh? Time Magazine. Circulation in 2012, 3 million plus. So that's a few more than we have for the Back to Godhead magazine at the present time. Point is that literature distribution can be expanded, and also that it's foundational. And Prabhupada said, so kindly help me. So this is a lifeline. Prabhupada asked for service. And as it says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shushu Shro Shradhatana Sya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevayavi Prapunya Tirtha Nishevanat. When you render service to a great soul, you gain an affinity for hearing and chanting about Krishna. And Krishna himself says, there's no more dear servant in this world than the one who spreads my message. Mahaprabhu said, become a spiritual master. Try to liberate everyone in the lands. Means prepare yourself so that you can meet others in a conscious way and improve their lives by giving them Krishna consciousness. This is the idea of the Krishna consciousness movement. Chant Hare Krishna, teach others. Finally, the direct order of the Lord is a manifestation of his internal energy. And this particular energy is the means of seeing the Lord face to face. For this reason, following this request, so kindly help me, of Srila Prabhupada, I'm saying, directly connects one to the internal energy. And by the service itself, whether you do well or not, it doesn't matter. Whether you do copious numbers of books or whether you distribute a few books here and there, it's inconsequential. You do the best you can with what you have. That's okay. Main point is that it connects you to the internal potency. And by just trying to do it, you'll come to see the Lord face to face. It's that powerful. Prabhupada also said that if you just try to teach others about Krishna consciousness, then you yourself will get superior strength and knowledge in Krishna consciousness. This is a primary reason to take advantage of this offer by Srila Prabhupada, So Kindly Help Me. It's a rapid way to make progress in spiritual life. It's high sadhana to go out and meet other people one-on-one and give them an opportunity to chant Hare Krishna and take a book, a very elevated book. So, I'm going to introduce you to 4 laws. We call the 4 laws of book distribution. And if you follow these 4 laws, I'll say when you follow these 4 laws, you will be successful in your attempts to increase book distribution wherever you may be. Guaranteed, or your money back from this seminar today. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you see the screen? Because I have no idea how clear it is for you. You want me to move? 4 laws. Let's say them together. Number 1 is, I'm just laughing because I looked at the screen and saw how dim it is. But I think it'll make us focus more. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's warm up. I want you to all to sit up straight, take a deep breath, and I want you to yell out Gauranga as loud as you can. So, that was about a 1 on a scale of 1 to 10. And what we're going to try to get is a 7, and that'll warm us up for the rest of the seminar. Are you ready? 1 on 3. 2, 3. Thank you very much. Okay, so number 1 is? Number 2? Number 3 is the one we always say twice because it's so important. Number 3?
The more you show, the more you sell.
And one more time?
The more you show, the more you sell.
And number 4? Okay, and if somebody grabs you by the arm when you walk out of this seminar and they say, what was that guy talking about in there? You'll say, the more you show, the more you sell. Okay, so number 1, your sadhana must be strong. Strict, serious, and sincere. These are 3 words that Prabhupada used frequently in his writings when he talked about practice of bhakti. I've put them all together here for effect. And the fact is, by very attentive chanting and hearing, one rises above the 3 modes of material nature. In fact, by rapt hearing, the word rapt comes from the word rapture, which means that one can be transported from one place to the next. You're asking what is that? That's a bee. This is a bee in a flower. He's tasting the flower. That's the idea. It's a madhu. Okay, so by strict, serious, and sincere sadhana, one can taste something uncommon. And it is that taste which gives us an overflow. That happens to be an overflowing container. I'll explain all the pictures as we go. And it's that overflow that compels us to give Krishna consciousness to others, whether internally or externally. Internally, I mean within our own family, within our own society, and externally to people we meet everywhere. In fact, if you're feeling happy from chanting Hare Krishna, there's one song that always makes me happy. It's Doyal Nitai Chaitanya. We say, Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole, Nachriyar Marman. This song, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, Nachriyar Marman, oh my mind, please dance. Please dance. Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman. Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman. Now, if you get that song stuck in your head, and for instance, you go to your office or wherever you happen to work, and you're walking down the hallway, you might be walking like this, Nachriyar Marman, and everyone's going to, what's wrong with you? It's like, I'm happy. Why are you so happy? Because I'm chanting Hare Krishna. This is the spontaneous mood of book distribution. It means to fill yourself up with this happiness, which is naturally there already, to reveal it to the world. And when people see you dancing, when they see something in your eye that they don't see anywhere else, and living beings are very sensitive. That's why they're called sentient beings, because they can sense things, even from a distance. And I notice this all the time on book distribution, that people are very sensitive. They can tell what your level of consciousness is practically. And if you're happy, if you're feeling bliss because you chanted very attentive rounds, for instance. And by the way, even by a mustard seed of inspiration from chanting very attentive japa, one can control one's senses. Actually, one mustard seed of inspiration from chanting Hare Krishna will give one enough inspiration to flood one's whole city with Krishna consciousness. One mustard seed. Actually, the whole state could be flooded from one mustard seed of inspiration from chanting Hare Krishna and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam class. Actually, the whole country, no, the whole world could be flooded from one mustard seed of inspiration from chanting Hare Krishna. And therefore, this is the genesis of all Sankirtan. It starts with this inspiration. Otherwise, why sell Bhagavad Gita? Why not sell soap? You can sell soap on a rope. They used to have back in the 70s. And you could sell soap on the rope. But we choose to sell Bhagavad Gita because we feel communion with Krishna. And that brings me to a short station identification and advertisement today. We pause for a little advertisement in the middle today because along with this sadhana, there are certain ways in which if we regulate our sadhana, we can dive deeply within it and bypass the mind. And here's one way. You can join this group called A Chapter a Day. Please join CHAD. How many CHAD members do we have in the room? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 24. It means chapter a day to chant one chapter of Bhagavad Gita a day, at least the Sanskrit, or the English, or both the Sanskrit and the English. And members, how long does it take to chant one chapter? I think Keshar Bharti Maharaj is the longest standing member of CHAD. 5 to 7 minutes. So Prabhupada recommended that we chant one chapter of Bhagavad Gita a day. There's a couple of quotes here. There are many more in which he asks us to do at least one chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. And it only takes 5 to 7 minutes. So join CHAD. You just have to agree to chant one chapter a day. Also, at the end of this program, I have a few little gifts to give to people. One is called the Be a Sage Page by Page, and it tells you how many pages you have to read each day of Prabhupada's books in order to complete each book within a set amount of time. For instance, if you read 41 pages a day of the Srimad Bhagavatam, you will finish it in 1 year. And if you're going to finish it in 1 month, it's more like 500 pages a day. And if you want to finish it like Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, you take 7 days, but you have to stop eating and sleeping to finish the Bhagavatam. In any case, this chart will give you some inspiration to read Prabhupada's books very methodically and do it every day, because that is the beginning of Sankirtan. It comes from inspiration. So the first law of book distribution is strong sadhana. Strong sadhana. And number 2 is you must get books. Wait, for this number 2, we just request you to repeat back the number 2 law, which is get books, and you say it like, get books. Okay, so ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the number 2 is? But you have to say it loud enough so the people in the other tent can hear it and think, what's going on over there? You ready? That's right. So if anybody grabs you by the arm when you walk out of here and they say, what was that guy talking about in your ear? You'll say? Right. So the reason is, and it's a very important reason, we've done great research on this everywhere we've been in the world. You can't distribute books you don't have. It's just a fact. And when you have books, there's a magical way in which you'll begin thinking about how to distribute them. When you keep them visible, when you keep them in your car, when you keep them in your pocket, Krishna will send you people that will want to take the books. And this will change your life. There's a very big difference between going to the post office just to mail a letter and going to the post office with a Sri Upanishad in your pocket thinking, I have to distribute this book before I get back to my house. It changes your whole approach to the post office and walking here and there. And the fact is that the books that we have are very rare. In fact, in the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, books were written by hand on palm leaves, and it was a tedious task to produce books. But nowadays, through high-speed digital printing, we have millions of books available. So therefore, we should not take it for granted. We should take it that each book is a Shastra deity, and that we have a great opportunity at hand. Not only that, we have translations of Prabhupada's original English books, which is a bigger miracle. As I've seen everywhere I've gone in the world, that it's very difficult to translate Prabhupada's books from one language to the next. In fact, oftentimes translators disagree about one word, and they'll argue about it for 20 years rather than translate the book. The books just sit. So the fact that we have books in many different languages is a great miracle. Here's a few samples of books that you can't see, in Japanese, in Vietnamese, in Korean, in Farsi, in Arabic, and so forth. All these books are available, and when people see them, they become enlivened by them. Here's another picture you can't see, but in it, I'm sitting with a group of Vietnamese people at a Vietnamese mall in California, and you'll find in every city in the world there are ethnic groups that join together in social groups, and you can go there and meet them with their books in their own language. So I'm sitting with them at Starbucks and having a nice chat, no coffee, but just a chat. And this man next to me is holding one of the Vietnamese books that he just purchased with a big smile on his face. Here's a Muslim mullah I'm standing next to that I met at an outdoor market, and when he saw me, I said, Salam alaikum, alaikum salam, madava kivelak, alhamdulillah, Allah akbar, mabsut. And he said, you love Allah? And I said, Allah akbar. He said, you pray 5 times a day? And I said, 16 times a day. And he came over and he hugged me. And I showed him one of Prabhupada's books in Farsi. And he was so impressed. He said, where's all the other Farsi books? I want the Farsi books. And devotees, this little book of Prabhupada's is sitting somewhere in Afghanistan right now. And one book can actually change a whole country. So Prabhupada talked about injecting the philosophy into the world. The books themselves have a life of their own, and they will infiltrate countries, and they will infiltrate the hearts of the people who touch them and read them. Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo. Narada Muni said they're meant to change the hearts of people in the world. And that's exactly what they do. So number 2 is the one we say with a military bent. And so the number 2 law of book distribution is? One more time. Thank you very much. Okay, number 3 is the one we say twice, and that is?
The more you show, the more you sell. The more you show, the more you sell.
Yeah, it's just a fact that when you show things to little jivas, they immediately get attracted to them. And this is one of the principles Krishna talks about in the Bhagavad Gita. Dhyayato vishayan pumsam sangasteshu pajayate. He says, when little jiva looks at things in the world and he contemplates them, he suddenly makes a sangha, or he becomes attached to them. And that's how people sell Coca-Cola. Because Coca-Cola, after all, is only sugar water. But it's one of the biggest corporations in the world, Coca-Cola. And people drink it by the gallons, even though the little cells in the body are saying, give me clean water. And they say, no, I'll give you a Coca-Cola. And the little cells say, why are you giving me Coca-Cola? I want water. And say, because I saw a sign. I saw a sign. Sign said, drink Coca-Cola. So I drink Coca-Cola. And that's what happens to little jiva. But if you show Bhagavad Gita, and you show Sri Upanishad, little jiva will become just attached to that too. And so it's only a matter of showing more. If you make the books visible, then little jiva will become attracted to him. And after all, he's made of the same substance as the spiritual world, as the Supreme Personality of God, and he's naturally attracted to this. So just think of ways to show it. There's some ways like events. You can go to events, like here's the Pumpkin Festival. There's a giant pumpkin behind the devotees there. And they go there and they meet people who are there to have fun in the fall and talk about pumpkins and things. And then, of course, the Bhagavad Gita looks kind of orange. But in any way, they went there and they met thousands of people, about 2,500 people that were interested in the Bhagavad Gita. Here's a Diwali event where they set up a table and they met 10,000 people. And they all stopped by the book table, and many of them took home books and sets of books and so forth. And then here's the smart box. I'm just giving you samples of ways that sometimes devotees think about showing books. The smart box is a little plexiglass box, and it has a little signboard on the back, and then the devotees put books in it and they set them out all over the city, and people can come take the books out on the honor system and put the money in the box, and they do that. And then the devotees come and they take the money out of the box, put more books in. And we've had 2 people join our temple in the last few years, and they just walked in the door with a book. And I said, "Where'd you get that?" And they said, "At the store." And I said, "What store?" And they said, "You know, from the store, from that little box. I got it at the store." Because we put these in grocery stores and restaurants and other places. And these 2 devotees came because they got the books, and now they joined. So they will come. You put these out. Now, there's tables with a nice professional rack, and if you put these on any street corner in the world, you're going to find people coming over to look at them. Prabhupada asked us to put a set of books in the home of every respectable person in the world. So that's a fun task, and one of my favorite projects. And one of the greatest salespeople in the world, Tom Hopkins, wrote a book many years ago about sales. And he said, never sell individual units when you're selling. Always sell in bunches like bananas. Everyone say, in bunches like bananas. That's the key to increasing your sales. So, here's the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's a big bunch of transcendental books. And here's the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, another big bunch of transcendental books. And what happens when you go, here's a picture, which you can't see, of us going door to door and entering a home with a full set of Bhagavatams, and the result was that the people took the book. I have a red arrow pointing to the book on their shelf. Incidentally, to put that set of books in their house, we had to move a lot of stuff out of the way. And I was really happy to do that, to be honest with you. I was thinking of all kinds of analogies, like cleaning out anartas from the heart and so forth. And it's really true. When the Bhagavatam comes in the house, then everything else moves out. Because it's not the money. It's not very expensive to buy a set of Bhagavatams. What I notice is people think long and hard about it because it's a value statement. When other people walk in their house and they see a full set of Bhagavatams, what to speak of Chaitanya Charitamrita, they're going to say, "What is that?" And the resident is going to have to say, "Well, I'm a Hare Krishna. That's all there is to it. I'm a Hare Krishna. I mean, I must be because there's a full set of Bhagavatams in my house. What other explanation could there be?" So going door to door or any other place and presenting the Bhagavatam. Here is a very nice Muslim man buying a set of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita from Shraddha Devi Dasi. Just happened to meet him at the door. He happened to be a very enlightened type person who was very interested from a Muslim background. He said, "Sure, come on in." We just happened to be showing the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And what happens when you show little Jiva something? He goes, "Okay, I'll take it." I mean, if he's going to take Coca-Cola, he could take a Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So here's a URL, a tiny URL that you can look at. You can go to there, and it'll tell you how to distribute sets of books. And it's guaranteed, by the way, that if you study this and you try it, you'll be able to sell lots of sets of books or your money back from this seminar. Now, here's the perfectly complete library, and this is bunching everything together. All of Prabhupada's books, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have Kartals, Madanga, we have the pictures of the Panchatattva and the disciplic succession. Did I say Tilak? Cookbooks, CDs, $1,008, plus you get the bookshelf too. Bookshelf comes with it. We pre-order them from IKEA, which is an international distributor, and we put these together. And you know what happens when we show these to people? I just give you one guess. They take it. Yeah, they just take it. And once they go inside the house, then it makes their home a sacred place. This is the spiritual atom bomb, so to speak. Once it goes in, the place is finished. In fact, probably the whole neighborhood is finished when one of these goes in. So you can bunch all these things together. Here's another idea for visibility. Motel Gita. We can place Bhagavad Gitas in motels. We've been doing this for a few years around North America, and to date we've placed 200,000 of these Bhagavad Gitas. Here's one right now, sitting in a motel, and people are going in and reading them. So number 3 is the one we say twice, which is?
The more you show, the more you sell. The more you show, the more you sell. Hare Krishna.